for sleep. It's like ASMR to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are live, so. Did you just get a exact replacement of your current headset, or did you get a new one?
No. So I got a new one. So, I had the SteelSeries, I think I had the 9X, which is like widely considered to be one of the best Xbox headsets out there.
Yeah.
But up by the hinge, where the headset met the ear cuff, it started cracking, and it cracked so bad that it essentially fell off, and it was just hanging by its wires. Which is weird, because I had the same problem with my Lucid Sound 35Xs, but it's a known problem there. Having said that, listening to a couple of reviews like over the weekend, apparently it's a known problem for some of these SteelSeries headsets as well, although it's a bit less common. Anyway, they do like an Arctis Nova range.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant, because they have a lot of ranges, so it's really confusing. And so they have an Arctis Nova 7X, which is this. So it's really similar, but essentially, some of the sound is better. It still has like the dual Bluetooth, which is what I really wanted, because I get a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah.
But you plug it in through a dongle, so that it doesn't connect directly to the console.
Okay.
And all my other ones have just connected directly. You pair it to the Xbox and it turns on. Which is fine, but sometimes that's annoying, because it turns the console on whenever you try and use it. And with this, I can just plug it straight into the PS5. My new PS5. Well, hey.
Oh, nice. That's a bit of a result. Just whack it in.
Because I couldn't for some reason get the Bluetooth paired to the PS5. And I know Xbox doesn't have like Bluetooth features like that either, but on the PS4 you could just pair any Bluetooth headphone you wanted to the console. But for the PS5, you couldn't. You needed to buy like a dongle, like what I did for the Switch.
So is this range like more expensive, or like did you just get a like for like?
Yeah, this is the better range.
Okay, so this did set you back a little bit more. They didn't give you like an offer because you had issues on your previous one or anything like that. You just straight up bought these, did you?
Yeah, I just got it from Amazon. I mean, I think I've had the other ones for a while now. I've had them for like 2 years, I think.
Oh, you definitely got your mileage out of them, yeah. And I don't think they were the most like crazy expensive headset either. They set you back like 150 or something, didn't they?
Yeah, they're like 150. This was about 175, so a little bit more expensive. But this is still the Xbox of the Arctis Pro. This is still the Xbox One. That's why it's the 7X. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a whirl later and see how we get on. But hopefully, it does the job.
Nice. Speaking of God of War, did you ever sort out your issue?
No.
You just lost those 3 hours to save, because I had a similar issue.
On Beth save, yeah.
I had a similar issue when I was like transferring my Spider-Man one over. So I uploaded it to the cloud, and then obviously I accessed that cloud save from my PS5, but then my PS5 was defaulting to like a local save that was being made, that got made on Spider-Man before that. So what I had to do was I had to delete that local save, so that it would be like, oh, you want us to read your cloud save? It didn't give me an option just to be like, you got 2 saves here, which one do you want to use? It just automatically defaulted to a local one until I deleted that from the in-system menu, and then it defaulted to the cloud one. It's just so shit. Like, I told you this stuff was a baller. I wasn't exaggerating.
I mean, I knew it was a ball, because I've read about it online, but I wasn't expecting it to happen straight away with the first God of War. I thought that would be like a straightforward thing, because it's not like I had used it on a different console or anything, on Beth's account anyway. It was the first time on Beth's account she'd ever booted it up, so it created the save file on the PS5, and then it came off, it came back to it later, it just wasn't there. And the save file is right there. If I go on storage, I can still see it. It's still there. The save file is still there, and she's got the trophies to prove that it like happened and everything.
So weird.
But it just doesn't pull from the save file. It just doesn't pull it for some reason. It's just crazy. I had no idea. Spoke to a load of people in chat, and they were all like, "Yeah, I guess your save file's just been lost." And I was like, "No, it's right there. I can see it. Don't give me that shit."
It's so shit,
yeah,
man.
we
I
just
mean, it
get-
could have just got
just
like corrupted maybe or something, but
I mean, maybe that would be real unfortunate to happen for the first time. But yeah, maybe.
the
Yeah,
dog.
they are. There's my new headset.
They look kind of small.
Yeah, I mean they're not pulled out yet, but yeah, they
And
do look a little bit smaller. The headbands are not as big,
yeah,
but they've
just
got
like
like
generally
the
they just
ski
look
band.
more compact. Like,
Yeah. So sorry, audio listeners. I've just unboxed a new headset. The what was it called? What did I say it was called? Arctis Nova 7X Wireless, the Steel Series one. Yeah. So I'm just fiddling it around. We'll just get the show started as soon as I've whacked these on my head.
whack 'em.
Hello,
Hello,
it's a me.
Mario.
It's me, Mario.
What episode are we on right now? 77.
77, yeah. All right, cool. All right, well, I'll figure about that later, but that all feels good.
Sweet as.
To
my
me.
dude.
Yeah, I do
Nice.
like this ski band design that they have, but this is a bit funny because it's like clipped on rather than the other one. It like pulls through the headphones, so you can like tighten it. This one can be tightened because it has little buttons, but
Okay.
it's done just a bit differently. But you can
Yeah.
take the plates off, I think, and customize the side bits. I can't get it off right now.
Yo, that's
There it is.
high.
Haha! Isn't that
Where my LEDs
so
at?
hard, dude? Yeah, that's all right. Cool. All right, let's get the show started, boyo, and then
Yeah, sure.
get this moving.
All right,
Hell is
I'll hit
this?
the jingle and you can get going with your intro.
The hell is this? Yeah, we'll do.
I don't know, man. Some stickers.
It's a little origami thing. Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 77th episode of the Quick Resume podcast. My name is Deck, and joining me is,
Tim, as always.
as always, he's always here, hasn't left yet, haven't driven him away yet, haven't scared him off.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Still
When
here.
bigger and better things come up, I'm bailing. But like for now, for now this is fun. Consider this just bolstering my
This is cute.
my CV. Yeah, my online gaming CV.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't really have any
Good for you.
emotional attachment to you or the show. So
I'm taking applications, basically.
fantastic.
And we have a lot to talk about today, I think. It's unavoidable. Things have happened
It's unavailable.
with ABK. Starfield didn't release. I got a PS5. I'm hopelessly addicted to Vampire Survivors and much more. Tim,
Right.
how's it going?
It's going good, man. Yeah, I've dabbled in a few games this week, which is new for me, especially with Overwatch
job,
being
buddy.
Overwatch. But I guess
Yeah.
over the week, I don't think I probably would have as much if we did have our like normal group on. But like this week was a bit sort of, it was like kind of like
Scattered.
2 or maybe 3 of us a night sort of thing, and like I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of. I'm up for Overwatch if I have the majority over the randos. If there's 3 of us and 2 randos, like we have the majority, then I feel like you can kind of play Overwatch. But I feel like if there's 2 or less of you and the randos just have like the bulk say in what happens in that game, sometimes Overwatch can be unbearable. It really can. There can be some absolute horrific moments of people just staying on Widow all game, even though it's trip tank. So yeah.
Do you think that that's more the case for Overwatch than other multiplayer games? Like if you're outnumbered by randos, do you think it's particularly bad in Overwatch, or is that just a general thing?
No, I think it's a general thing. I think you kind of find this stuff no matter what, like, multiplayer game you're playing. Like even away from shooters. Like I know we had this issue with Smite all the time. The lobby just loaded and someone just like insta locked in Loki, like solo or something like that. They didn't pick it.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't even like hover over it. They were just like they were locked in. It's just like you play around me. That's it. And
Yeah.
I'm sure the same happens for like League of Legends and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you always have your throwers in those sort of games, and the people that just want to play what they want to play, and that's it. But it's just we haven't experienced that in a while because we haven't really played games like that in a little while, so it's just a little bit new and fresh in Overwatch. But so yeah, not too much Overwatch on the cards this week, but I tried Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which was very nice. Played that I didn't play it for very long, maybe like an hour one night because the squad was filled for Overwatch and I came back from dinner. So yeah, it was fun, man. It's really pretty. Music's great. It's like kind of emotional as well. The game was
It
kind
is.
of making me well up a little bit.
Everything about it is so sad.
Yeah, there's
Sort of.
something. Yeah, but then it's also kind of so happy as well. At the same time,
Yeah.
in some cases, they do a really good way. They do it in a really good way of like conveying like emotion through just like no dialogue or anything. It's just
That's right. Yeah.
what's happening on screen, and yeah, the audio is fantastic for that as well. It always suits exactly what's happening. Um, if the game wants you to feel sad, the music's going to make you feel sad.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, and what else did I play? Um, there was another game I tried out as well that wasn't Ori and it wasn't Vampire.
Did ya? Wow.
I can't remember what it was now. Oh, I played some.
It wasn't like.
I played some Nobody Saves the World on the cloud yesterday while my
Oh
girlfriend
yeah.
was watching Celebrity. I'm a Celebrity.
Nice.
So
How did that go?
it was alright. It was a bit broken up. I wasn't really paying too much attention to it. I maybe played it for like half hour or something like that. But it worked fine. There was no like screen wiping or much input lag. The touch controls worked great. And yeah, no, it was pretty cool. So I can't complain because I think there's like a November like Microsoft Rewards for like getting an achievement in Nobody Saves the World. So
yeah, no, that's exactly what I did.
yeah, so
It shouldn't take too long.
and then obviously Vampire Survivors, dude. I can see you're hooked on it as well.
Well, all I'll say is that I started playing that game at about midnight, just while I was listening to some podcasts, and then I looked up and it was 4 a.m, and
It's
I
amazing.
slammed my face into the pillow.
Yeah,
and cried myself to sleep.
it's exactly how I said it as well because you were just like, "What's it like?" And I was just like, "I don't really know." It's just like it's just so
It's its
easy
own
to
thing.
play, and it's just so simple, but it's so fun, and it's just like the runs that you build and stuff like that. It's just I don't know, man. You literally for anyone who hasn't played it, all you use is your left stick. There is not a single other button you use in that game. You just walk around.
That's just crazy.
Shit just comes at you. You pick up like power ups and you level up, and yeah, it's like a roguelite, right? And you can like buff all the current abilities you have and stuff like that, and it's just
get more characters.
Yeah, and then the screen obviously it gets harder and harder and harder, so stuff really starts to swarm you, and the enemies get harder, and it's just really fun, man. Like it's just so easy to play. It's a shame this doesn't have touch controls because I think this would be perfect to just pull up on your phone and play.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people calling for it on Twitter because like with it only being one one control, like that absolutely should be. I suppose you need the A button to like make selections on the menu as well, and probably a B button, but that's really it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's such a weird game because like when it started, I was like, is this like a rhythm game? Because obviously the attacks just come out where you want to. You're kind of the strategy, as far as I can see, is obviously to space yourself so that when your moves come, they do the most damage. They have the most impact and take out most enemies on the screen. So there is a degree of rhythm to it because you get different moves that will attack at different tempos.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So but like your whip will come out and then you'll throw axes out and then you'll throw like these boomerang like I don't know what are they, like daggers things, and they will go in different directions. Like some you throw directly behind you, some go upwards and then fall down the screen. So that's kind of the strategy, but the pacing of it is so good that as soon as it starts to feel dull, more enemies pick up, and that means you get more XP, and that means you can upgrade your stuff more. But I'm really impressed given what it is and how basic it is. Like,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, and I just completely dig the art style as well. Super old school. Like I'm just like I've always had a little soft spot for like old school looking games like this. And the music's just kind of awesome as well. It's just like again that like classic like NES sort of music. And I don't feel like it plays on loop. I feel like it kind of just keeps going in its own way. There's a point it doesn't get repetitive or stick in your brain that much. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's simple. It's it's mindless fun, and I think you should just boot it up and give it a go if you haven't already. It's the perfect like quick resume game. Like you're sitting in like a queue for like ranked or something, or like and you just flip over to this game and just play that. Although I say that sitting in a queue for like ranked and like Overwatch, if you were to quick resume over, it'd probably break the Overwatch connection, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It would.
Yeah, because quick resume's not quite perfected yet, is it?
No.
But yeah,
No, I don't think that would ever work.
it's just the ultimate game to just play when you've got some time to spare. And you can just pause it and just go back to it whenever, as long as you leave it on quick resume. So yeah, good fun.
That's it.
Good fun. Who's your favourite character so far? You played any?
Yeah, I've gotten the first three.
Okay.
I had a good time. I had a really fun run with the projectile guy, the little old wizard guy.
Where the projectiles like bounce around.
Yeah, I had a bad
cool.
run. I tried him on the forest, and I was like, oh, this isn't working. This is going to work better on the second level, where it's like the level's like tighter, so you get more bounces.
Yeah.
And whenever I got a chance, I just buffed that ability. And that I had a really good run on that. I got up to like level for like 55 or 60 or something. That was really fun.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Yeah, I'd say my favorite. I had a really good run with that guy, and I think that's the highest I've got. I think I survived for like 15 minutes or something like that. I got like over 2k kills. You know, I think that's the furthest I've got. And then I also quite just like the standard whip guy. He's just really good because the whip is just so useful. I found the guy with the wand and the fireball was really shit. I thought he was really bad when I used him.
I did have quite a good run with that character, but I haven't like had a great run with them.
He's just awkward.
Yeah, because
sometimes it doesn't go to the enemy you want, and it's like
yeah.
I don't know.
I kind of feel like you need the whip, to be honest. I feel like the whip is kind of a staple to have to get on all characters at some point.
So it gets you out of a sticky situation when you find yourself cornered. It's just it's the most consistent, like, this is where I want to hit and kill to make a path for myself.
Yeah. Just to begin with, like, because otherwise you need to keep specking it as the enemies get harder, but like just to begin with so that you can then consistently survive as you build up, you know, the abilities that fit around the actual character you're playing. Although I will say there's a couple of stats in the game which I think are a bit obtuse. Like one of them is like base area. I don't know what that means. And then one of them's like base speed, but the icon is a glove. And then one of them's movement speed, but the icon is a wing. But that's not the same as projectile speed, because projectile speed has its own item. And I'm like, I don't know what some of these things mean. And there's nothing in the menus to tell me what it means. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like the base area one, it's like a candle, a candlestick.
Yeah, I think it's just like just like the.
Does it zoom the screen out a little bit?
No, I would imagine it just increases the effect area of all your moves. So your axes have like a wider area they hit. You don't need to be as precise with them, and like the books that swing around you have like a, you know, instead of an area of effect of hit being like this big, it's like this big.
Yeah.
You know, so it hits more enemies as it goes around. That's how I interpreted it, at least.
Okay.
But I don't really know.
It makes sense too.
And if you ever got garlic yet, you know, garlic where you just have that.
Yeah, garlic's so good.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
I literally got that, and for like the first like couple minutes, I just stood still, and all the bats just died as they come towards me, and I was like, this is just such an easy way to farm money.
It's good to get it early,
yeah.
It's a good one.
It's good fun. We like it.
It gets the QRP thumbs up recommendation for sure. It's a very peculiar game. It's on Game Pass. I think it's currently it's console exclusive to Xbox. It's been on PC for a while, and as I understand it, Tim, Vampire Survivors, because it's been out for a while on PC anyway, it's kind of like spawned a bunch of clones. Maybe it's just gone into like 1.0 release, and that's why it's gotten quite a bit more clout. But it's spawned a load of clones as well. So like it's definitely doing. I've never played anything like it. It's doing its own thing.
Yeah,
but it's doing it very well.
yeah, definitely. It's just it's tight and it just plays well. Like there's no jankiness in there. It just feels good to just hop on and play.
Yeah, it's got a good hook for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've really been playing. I meant to mention last week that I have started Persona 5. I totally forgot. Which I've been like hopping back into every now and then. It's like quite slow, but I am kind of interested. I'm like sort of digging it, but I can tell the game it's really taking its time in explaining the universe and the mechanics to me. Like I must be like 5 hours in yet, and I'm still like I still feel like I'm in the tutorial sort of thing.
It's a lot of talk.
But some of the music in this game is like it's swinging, dude.
Yeah,
like it is making me shake a hip.
Oh God,
like,
your hips don't lie, dude.
Great. Yeah, they don't. So we're doing that. Yeah, obviously Overwatch 2, Vampire Survivors. Is there anything else I tried? There's nothing else I tried on Xbox, but I did get a PS5 this week because my wife found some in stock when she was buying some for her dad to give to her little brother, and she came home with 2 PS5s with God of War in it.
Surprise!
So I played about the first 5 hours of God of War, and like as we were saying in the pre-show, if you went, if you maybe skip past it or weren't here for that, I've had a honestly pretty horrible experience with the console so far, and I really wish I didn't have to say that because people are going to think I'm being biased or whatever, but no, I've had an objectively pretty poor experience with the console. The game has been pretty great. Like God of War so far has been pretty great. It's been a lot slower in the first 5 hours than the first one was, and it's been fairly samey. But I'm only in the first 5 hours, so whatever. Yeah. But it's still good. Like the first God of War was still very, very good. But we'll see. And the UI sucks. I like that. The UI sucks. It's like menus in menus sort of thing. It's like you pull out, because they try and do this thing where the menus cascade from the left to right, and it's like you pull out a drawer, and then there's a drawer in that drawer, and then there's a drawer in that drawer.
Oh, God.
And it feels very cluttered very, very quickly. But it's all of the stuff you'd expect. The production value in this game is so high. It looks fantastic. The sound design there and the music is really good. And the other thing I wanted to comment on as well was the PS5 controller. First time I've used it properly. If you haven't used it before, you've probably heard people speak about it on shows and stuff. But I think it's pretty cool. I do think it's pretty cool. I've got to say, I have noticed like a little bit of fatigue kick in every now and then, like depending on what game you're playing. Like there's a particular thing that happens in God of War when you're using one of the weapons that the trigger like kicks back at you a little bit. And I found like after like an hour of play, I got like a bit of fatigue in my hand. Like not like, oh, I have to stop, but I could feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like almost a little bit immersion breaking, which is kind of weird because obviously the game wants me to feel that.
Yeah.
To a degree. It's pushing back because it's like, oh, push, so it feels a bit more immersive. But there were some times where I had done it so much that I was like, I had to consciously push harder. Otherwise, it felt like I wasn't going to squeeze the trigger hard enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And I don't have weak hands. I don't think.
No,
I don't think. I play badminton. That gives me strong fingers, I think.
Nah, weak ass fingers.
Anyway. But anyway, yeah, that's been really good so far. And that's what I've been playing. So it's been a fun week for me. And it obviously, this is the other thing. My baby is due to arrive this Wednesday. And so I'll top this off at the end of the show, but the next 2 weeks probably of the show are probably a bit volatile. Obviously, I will try my best, and we will try our best to make it happen, but we'll have to see how it goes because won't be able to do it if I'm in hospital or if the wife is in labor. Not happening. Might be a bit hard to hear me.
Just
So,
like check
yeah.
in from the hospital. Hey guys, just me, just doing. We're doing the episode. Don't worry, the Wi-Fi is okay here. We're not stopping.
We don't stop for anything. Yeah, like a Mr. Beast video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give my son £100 on his birthday.
Do it, man.
Okay, well, I've got a couple of honourable mentions then for the day. I wanted to start with obviously Starfield. It's a salute because that was the 11th of the 11th, so Friday.
Oh yeah, it's when it should have
was the
come
day
out.
it was meant to release. It was meant to release.
Oh yeah, I did. I completely
didn't get
forgot
that.
about that. Yeah, 11/11/11. Sad, dude.
It is sad. It is sad. But hopefully we hear from it soon. I mean, if we're lucky, the Game Awards is like a month or under a month, so maybe we hear something there. We'll see.
Yeah,
but you know, we've had it. Xbox have a tradition now of making some sort of appearance at the Game Awards, whether that's just Perfect Dark or that's Hellblade. Maybe Bethesda will shut up this time. Who knows?
Maybe.
If
Probably
their first half 2023, you would expect that they want to have another big, like maybe a release date trailer. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, Bethesda are just going to end up doing their own thing.
I would think so. Yeah. It kind of makes sense, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you end up seeing kind of both, because both Redfall and Starfield are looking early next year, aren't they? So,
yeah,
it'd be good to get the word out, and yeah, sort of remind people that potentially the biggest games for quite a while are coming out. So, yeah, I'd like to think we see them in the Game Awards. Yeah,
we'll see. The next thing I wanted to mention was something a little bit random, but it's important to us, and that's that Capcom is partnering with Tencent, Tim, to make a new mobile game.
Let's go
for Monster Hunter. A Monster Hunter mobile game.
Why?
A Monster Hunter mobile game.
Can I not have World 2, please?
Nope, Monster Hunter mobile game. You know that game where you fight giant dragons with really complex combos and really precise timing? Put it on your phone.
Yeah. And is it like a similar formula game, or is it going to be like a sort of spin-off, like Match 3?
No idea.
Match 3 Rathalos.
I bloody hope not.
That'd be insane, dude. Yeah. I'd buy that.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
And so, yeah, it's we don't know what it is. You know, if you've been around, then you know we're big fans of the Monster Hunter franchise. But it's this is not where I want to see my baby go. So no. I'm sure this won't interfere with like the other like World 2 or whatever's coming next. But I don't understand the obsession with trying to cram Monster Hunter of all series onto tiny devices. It's always been weird to me that they've been like, this is a DS or 3DS, you know, franchise or PSP franchise. It's like, and we loved it on those devices anyway, but they're just so not suited for those devices, in my opinion. They're like long play sessions. Get your play session game. You know, the hunts can go 30 to 40 minutes depending on what you're hunting.
Yeah.
On devices that are cramped and square that give you like arthritis. So I don't understand why this franchise is the one they think needs to have mobile equivalents. I'll never get it.
It's kind of weird. It definitely benefits from just being on a home console and a home screen, and like you said, just playing it with a comfortable controller, long play sessions. Yeah, like absolutely. Like I'd say that was one of the best things about it coming to a home console. You know, rather than just like the graphical upgrade and stuff like that, just like the comfortability of playing it and just like where it should be played. 100%. But you know, they've probably just gone down the mobile avenue again because you know Monster Hunter's recently taken such an increase in popularity. They're just getting it on more platforms, right? This is the biggest the IP's ever been, so why not milk it? Why not get a little mobile spin-off game while it's popular? So yeah, I'm sure that's the main reason.
I don't know if you can see this, but your head is flipped on the stream.
My
I mean,
head
it's
is
fine.
flipped.
But yeah, you're like, it's not just your head. It's your whole screen is like mirrored.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, don't worry if it's gonna.
Does it
screw
actually
with
look
anything,
weird
but I
though?
just.
Because this is just how it should come out on my camera.
But you never usually are mirrored.
Yeah, because normally it comes. Yeah, it came through reverse, but I changed it at the end of last week, so this is how I would look if I were like on a call with you, like on a webcam. Because beforehand it was coming through like reversed, but this is normal.
Well, whatever you've done, you're flipped from how I see you on Discord,
Oh,
and that's freaking me out.
am I? It doesn't look weird. Though,
No. By all means, leave it if it's normal.
It's normal.
I mean,
I raised my left
everybody.
hand. I can see my left hand. Beforehand, it was the opposite. It was like I don't know. It was. This is how it should be. I feel.
What? I can't get back to my broadcast to check it now. But whatever, it's not important.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted you to know.
Okay. Thanks, man.
That's all right. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is really drama, fanboy drama. People, just like can't help themselves but shit on other people's fun, and a particular tweet that got traction, taking the piss out of Vampire Survivors, essentially, saying, "Oh, this is the latest Xbox release." No, I'm not joking. It's like a still image of Vampire Survivors, which is obviously, pixel art indie game.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like making comparisons to God of War. This is what Xbox have to play, and this is what we play for the players.
I mean, it's not
Greatness.
Xbox's latest release. I mean, this has been out on Steam for ages. I mean, it's come to Xbox, yeah, but it's been out on Steam for ages, and it has great reviews. People love it for what it is.
Yeah, it's a known, loved game, and like I'm so over this thing of like people not having like just trashing any game that's not like a tech demo.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That's essentially what I feel like a lot of these people want. They don't really want anything good or creative or varied. It's just something that looks shiny, and it's really getting to me, man. I'm at the end of my tether with this.
yeah, it's kind of which is kind of weird considering how much the indie space has grown and become more respected, that people still view games like this. Because some of the best games for the longest time, like games like Hades, games like Dead Cells, and games like this, they're not exactly like you said, like tech demos, cinematic masterpieces, or anything like that. Like Dead Cells is literally it's all pixel art, just like this. It's a little bit prettier in terms of this has gone very old school retro, like Castlevania style. But it's weird that people still view games like that, because it's just like some of these games have been nominated for Game of the Years, and almost won it over your cinematic tech demos. So just like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Just appreciate the game for what it is, the route it's taking. Not every game, like God forbid, every game just starts copy pasting and just turning into that. It would turn me off gaming if every game was like God of
action
War.
Adventure.
Yeah, if every game was like God of War, Horizon, and following this tech demo cinematic masterpiece sort of thing, mate, I'd fall out of gaming. I'd just be like, this is just everything's the same. Like, where's the variety here? Yeah. So.
You're absolutely right. And I had that. I've spoken about this on the show. Like, I had this when I got my PS4 like a couple of years ago, and like I had binged through all the PlayStation exclusives. I had to take a break. Like, I think it was between I played Bloodborne, and then I played what was it? I think Last of Us, and then Horizon. And I was like, I had God of War still to go on my palette, and there's something else as well that I'm forgetting.
Spider-Man?
I can't remember what. Oh, maybe Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man. I think I played that last though. But after those three, I was like, I can't keep going. Like, God of War is going to be the same thing. I mean, obviously, I know it's reductive to say it's the same thing. Like, but you know what I mean. Like, it occupies enough of the same space that I get fatigue from it. In the same sense that some people will get fatigue from like playing COD multiplayer as a first-person shooter, and then maybe there's some of that fatigue transfers over to something like Fallout. You know,
Mhm.
I understand it is different in that it's like an RPG. It's, you know, the setting is completely different, but some of that genre fatigue carries over. And I really had that because I was like, I really wanted to play God of War, but I was like, I just need to take some time off and play something else because, like, I feel burnt out with this thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So it does happen. So I don't know why we can't just appreciate the vibrancy of you know, the different scale of games that pop up here. It really does annoy me. And like it's perfectly okay to just, like, you know, maybe you just have time for the big hitters and that's where you want to put your energy. But by all means, like if you've got something like Game Pass or even, you know, PS Plus, try one of these smaller games, like the ones that are well reviewed. You might be surprised. I've played some of the more memorable experiences I've had in the last 5 years have been smaller games. The Outer Wilds, Outer Worlds, the smaller one, you know that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, the Forgotten City, Hades.
Edith Finch, you really liked, didn't you?
I love Edith Finch. Yeah, Immortality. That was just this year. You know, just loads of things like that that have just been so memorable and so good. And if I had that, like, you know, that approach to things, that I would never try anything that's less than a, you know, $6 billion budget, I would never have played them, and that would have been an absolute tragedy. You know, it's kind of your loss sort of thing. And that's not to say that you need to go out there and enjoy all the small games as well. You know, I'm not trying to take that away from people that do enjoy those big experiences, but we don't need to go out there and start shitting on all the smaller stuff as well. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Just let people just
Get it together.
If you're one of the gamers that does a little bit of both, you're one of the gamers that just likes indies, just like cinematic, whatever. It's just there's no need to poke holes at what other people enjoy. Just enjoy what you enjoy and let them enjoy what they enjoy. Enjoy.
Yeah. Enjoy, you know?
Said enjoy so many.
That's the motto. That should be Xbox's new slogan.
Enjoy.
Not jump in, not power your dreams. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Like they're serving us a pizza or something.
If only.
Okay. All right. Well, they're on to some of the main stories then. The next one being, well, the first one, I suppose, being that Xbox are considering allowing Xbox players to reduce game performance in order to save energy. Frame rate and resolution adjustments are among the features cited in a new survey. This is kind of interesting because I kind of feel like this would make sense if you had a portable Mr. Xbox, you know? You know, like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, why not? But really, like, is this really, like, if this is a resource hog, like doing this, you know, like assigning people to do this, is this really something that people want? I mean, supposedly they were sending out questionnaires or surveys, you know, to ask people if they would want it. But I like, because obviously we don't lose anything by having a feature like this, but like, I don't know, like, is it helpful to save a couple of pennies for some people? I mean, maybe some people would genuinely choose to do that. You know, they would cap the frame rate at 30 and resolutions at 720 because they have maybe a worse TV or something and they could save some money over the month. But I don't know if it would really have enough of an effect for people to actually make that decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to, like, actually knowing how much it's reducing your energy consumption by. Like, if we don't have a percentage or we don't have a figure, it's hard to determine whether or not it's worth it or not. You know, if they release the article and we're just like, you can reduce, like you said, 30, 720, and you'll save, you know, your Xbox will use 60% of the energy it normally does, and it will lower your TV, then people will be like, yeah, that's quite a bit, you know, considering I only use my TV when I play Xbox. I don't actually watch TV. You know, maybe they don't watch Netflix, maybe they don't watch that or anything. And the only time they use these electricals is when they're playing games. A 60% reduction or something like that could be quite nice for some people, because of the whole crisis with bills at the moment. But yeah, it's too vague, and it's just like, I don't want to make that cut of quality when I don't really know how much it's saving me. You know, if I figure out if I make that cut all month long and then at the end of the month I've saved 10p, I'm like, well, that was worth it. Like, that was not worth me cutting my
that's it.
experience.
Yeah.
You just don't know, but yeah.
And like, I know these are like bigger machines now that do take a lot of voltage that. But I just can't see this being something that where the trade-off is good. And I like obviously I'm not saying this to undermine people who are struggling with the energy crisis. Like I know I am. It's been really rough for the last year with energy, and but like Tim said, if it's quite a substantial change for like pennies, I don't really think that's worth it. Like presumably they have something sorted out where they feel like they can get people some sort of valuable energy saving, especially at the moment. For like a decent cost saving. But yeah, it just seems quite. I feel like it's going to be quite minimal, but I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how these sort of things would work. But
yeah,
I think it's like like how on. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was about to say I think like the statistics will come out more when this is out for like a couple months. I'm sure people will start reporting on the savings they've had, and then you can start figuring out whether or not it's worth it for you at that point, and the actual chunk it does save you. But I can't see many people doing this right out the gates. It's too vague right now.
Yeah, and like I said at the beginning of the topic, I feel like it would be more desirable if we were talking about like a portable device, or maybe even like how it works on cloud. I don't know how that would work considering you're streaming it anyway, but it's that if you could save battery on your phone or on a portable device, because on the Steam Deck you can do similar things. As I understand it, you can change, because it's PC essentially. You can change performance to save battery. So you can get a 2-hour play session out of something like God of War, or versus 4-hour play session or something. That makes sense to me. In terms of but maybe that's just as part of having these unified platforms. They're like, it would be useful to nip this in the bud and make this something that can be altered on an OS level, so that anything we do going forward has these options.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Like you said, it's not a negative per se. It's just a bit of an odd one. That's all. It's nice that they're thinking about features like this and thinking about saving their users money and stuff like that. Like that's great. It's great intentions from Xbox, but it's just, I don't know. You just don't know how necessary it is, or how worth it is right now. But yeah, there's nothing lost here, I don't think.
No. David Cummins says in the chat, so what are your thoughts on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on Series X? David, are you currently playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order by any chance? I think that game is excellent. Tim, you didn't finish it, did you? But you really liked it, if I remember.
Yeah, didn't finish it. Got a decent chunk of the way through it. I'd say a good. I completed a good 3/4 of the game. From my experience, it was excellent. Although I'm just trying to think back to when I played it. I think I played it on my One X. I don't think I played it on my Series X.
Oh, I think you're right, actually. I think I probably did the same.
Yeah, so Series X, obviously, it would be locked at 60 4K and everything like that. I guess we would have played it at 30 4K, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my experience with the game was fantastic. Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was really difficult, much more difficult than I thought it was going to be going into it. Very Souls-like in its formula. I know people are probably sick of people comparing everything to Souls, but this one is actually justified, I think. But yeah, really good, really good.
It is. I'm very excited for the next one. Everything Respawn touches is gold, really.
Such a good company,
and I think it was. I think I put it in like the 8.5 to 9 range. I'll have a rating for it somewhere on my true achievements list. But
yeah, I'd probably put it around 8.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember there being. Some of the animals were a bit annoying to fight. Everything that wasn't human was a bit annoying to fight because their tails weren't all that great. Yeah. But there wasn't that much else I could flaw with it. I liked the story. The voice acting was good. It looked really pretty. For a studio that only makes first-person shooters, to my knowledge, they did really well at making a third-person action adventure. It really captured the Star Wars fantasy really well. Yeah, I thought that game was really excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, next up, Merry Scrubmas, Tim.
Oh, thanks, man.
You know what that means? Yeah, you're welcome. You know what that means? It means that we got the official confirmation of a Netflix Gears of War uh, live action feature film, followed by an adult animated series.
Actually, this brings
Can't.
me on to I'm about 5 episodes into Edge Runners at the moment. It's really good,
Oh,
man.
are you?
It's really
Yeah,
good.
this is so good.
Yeah, it's
Edge
so
Runners is
good.
so good.
Yeah, it is. It
That's good
is
to know.
very good. But yeah, I'm because obviously this is I'm getting vibes that they're going for what Edge Runners would have done, has done, for like a Gears of War universe, which I think
Which they should.
would be sick. Like that would be
Yeah.
insane if they went for that same sort of like. Because I don't know what rating Edge Runners is. I guess at 18 because it's insanely violent and there's like sex in it and all
Yes.
sorts. Um, that would be
Segs.
Segs. That would
Not
be
Segs.
so good, dude. For Gears, yeah, insane. And then obviously the feature length movie. But weirdly enough, the animated series is getting me more excited than the live action.
No,
feature
I'm with
film.
you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Live action video game adaptations don't have a good history.
no,
But do animated video game adaptations have like they're getting there.
yeah,
They're getting there. I know people. Edge Runners is a good example, but I know people quite liked Halo Legends as well. That was an animated one.
yeah.
There's a couple of others that are not coming to my head right now, but I know there's been a few. Yeah, I think so. There's two main questions floating around this announcement. The first is the casting for the live action,
Yeah.
namely Dave Bautista for Marcus Phoenix. And
Okay.
the second is the time frame for these releases. And does it line up with Gears 6? What's the story here? Are they retelling Gears 1 to 3? Are they going with the new trilogy? Like maybe we've got this all wrong and we're not talking about the Marcus Phoenix saga. Maybe they're going to continue telling the Kate story.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe that's why they're doing two. Maybe they're going to retell the original trilogy and then the animated series is going to like fill in the gaps between 5 and 6 with a spin-off sort of timeline. So we'll start with the first part. Tim, castings. Let's pretend this is about the Gears of War, the original trilogy. You got Marcus Phoenix, we got Baird, we got the Coltrane.
Uh-huh. You gotta ask me who I think.
Who's playing who?
Oh god, that's insane, dude. I can't just think of actors on the spot for like specific roles like
You
that.
don't want Ryan Reynolds as Baird. You don't want Tom Holland as the Coltrane.
Tom. Yeah, I want Tom Holland as a Coltrane. I say Ryan Reynolds is not bad for bed actually. The
You're Chris Pratt.
The sort of jokey. If you make him a bit more gruff, that sort of jokey sort of style, that is kind of what Baird is, isn't it? So that's not the worst casting ever. I'm just trying to think like Marcus Phoenix. That's the big one. Assuming they do. I mean, let's say first of all, would you prefer if they did? Personally, would you prefer if they went back and started at Gears, or would you prefer like Gears 1 with Marcus Phoenix and stuff, or would you prefer if they just followed on from like the last game?
I think it would be good for them to do something around the original trilogy because it would generate a lot of interest.
Yeah.
But having said that, I don't know how these sort of adaptations perform when they're just retelling the story. Like Halo was obviously a bit meh, but I don't know if that was because it was just trying to tell an alternate timeline Chief story because we've heard a lot of stirrings about the internals of that.
Yeah.
Whereas Edge Runners, just for example, or The Witcher, I suppose does try to retell the books a little bit, right? It doesn't retell the games; it retells the books. And like Joaquin is saying in the chat, that there's quite a lot of novels to pull from in terms of Gears, which I didn't know.
I didn't know there were novels, but I didn't know there were that many.
So I guess to answer your question, like yes, I suppose. Like I think yes, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has those original characters, but tells like a different story, something they didn't do in the games. Do you know what I mean? Like when they were off on secret mission Delta Bravo, trying to take out the swarm, who learned how to 3D print paintball guns. That's really dangerous. They like shoot They shoot HIV at us in the paintballs. It's awful. It's dreadful. We've got to stop this.
That's extremely dreadful. Yeah.
And then they go with the chainsaw. So yeah, answer your question. I'd like to see those characters for sure, those 4 characters, but I think that would be a good way to start with the live action. But I don't know. What about you?
I quite like the idea of them just starting from scratch and doing and yeah, just following sort of like either starting of like how it happened, similar to like how the Rings of Power kind of approached it, you know, like the making of everything, like how the locusts came about, you know, what caused them to come up from the ground because that's where they came from, and then like the whole leading up to everything, and then they could do like a time skip, you know, the cog was made and you know they're still fighting the war this far on, you know, and then get into Marcus Phoenix and stuff. I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah, to have a little bit of like an origin story and follow on from there, and if it's done well that leaves potential for more to come out and make it a bit of a franchise and keep this going. Yeah, no, I think I'd prefer it to be a little bit more of an origins story, I think.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So it'd be like you'd start with like pre-Judgment, right? Gears of War Judgment, because that was the prequel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. But yeah, like in terms of castings, like you know, the writing is on the wall for that. Dave Bautista even like tweeted that he was like he said like I'm ready or something like that. Because obviously he was a character in Gears 5. Like you could purchase Dave Bautista as the wrestler in Gears, and he's like a known fan of the franchise, and everybody's been saying for years that the guy looks just like Marcus Phoenix. Like perfect casting, and the guy in the last, you know, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years has become like a fairly mainstream actor. Everybody knows who Drax is now. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's proven himself. I think he's a pretty decent actor. So yeah, I think there's potential there. But like more interesting, like you say, is I think this animated series and where that takes place and the timeline. Like, do you think it would be worth making something to tie between 5 and 6? You know, or would you rather it just did its own thing? Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't really know. The animated series, it could literally just do its own thing, similar to how Edge Runners does theirs, right? You know, like there's no reason it can't just be from the eyes of like a newly joined cog soldier or something like that who ends up, you know, getting drafted into it, and he sort of, you know, obviously he has his epic anime moments, all that sort of stuff. He turns out to be better than what he is, that sort of thing. But I think you could do your own thing and tell your own story for the animation, definitely. Yeah, I think that would suit it a bit more.
Yeah, maybe they go in the other direction and it's like an original story about a different cast of characters, right? Maybe it's about a different team of cogs.
Yeah,
and they're in Gear 6, like in the world somewhere, right? That's kind of like the inverse of what happened with Edge Runners. Sorry, that is what happened with Edge Runners, where they made that story and then they're in the game now. The characters from Edge Runners, you can go and find them and do a side quest, get some of their weapons and stuff like that. But I think there's a lot of potential here. Hyper violent animated series sounds just perfect for Gears. The actual live action remains to be seen, because we need to see those castings and we need to see what they're doing. Because as far as I can tell, there's 3 approaches. They either do a retelling, they do like a parallel telling to fill in gaps, or they do like it's an original story. So I wonder, it is interested to see what it would fit into. And Joaquin says in the chat here, make the animated series about the Hive Busters crew. That'd be interesting as well. I thought they were pretty interesting characters. I'm sure they'll make an appearance in Gear 6 as well. Hive Busters that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was a good little spin-off game.
Yeah, I enjoyed. I enjoyed Hive Busters. Yeah.
So yeah, that's it for Gears of War, really. But it's nice to be talking about Gears of War again. You know.
Yeah, it's been too long.
because they've withered a bit. Like I really liked Gears 5 campaign. I liked Gears 4 as well. I preferred 5 overall, but I think generally like
Me too.
the long-term fans of Gears have really whittled or have just become really niche. It's become niche, and that's fine. It's in a difficult place, Gears multiplayer, where it has to remain purist. And if they can do what they want in terms of like evolving it in some ways, but someone is always going to be upset, just like Halo, someone is always going to be upset by multiplayer. But campaign, they can kind of do their own thing, I think, and tell their own story as long as they keep like the crunchy cover shooter, which frankly, they're still at the top of the industry with.
Yeah.
But I think they kind of need to evolve that somehow. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens next with the franchise and these adaptations as well. Okay. Tim, Joaquin's got a really interesting question here. And I also feel like this is really pertinent to this conversation about TV shows, because this is now the 4th or 5th TV show / adaptation that we know is happening under the Xbox banner. There's Fallout. There's Gears. Halo's already happening. Grounded was announced, if you remember.
Yeah.
Minecraft is also happening. Quite a lot happening here. And Joaquin asks, what other Xbox IP would you want translated to movies and or animation on Netflix? Is there any other in particular that stands out in your head as something that would be
I think
a good adaptation?
I think weirdly this has popped into my head, even though I'm not like a massive fan of these games. You're much more of a fan. I think something like Dishonored could translate quite well into an animation, considering like I feel like its graphic style is already halfway there in the game anyway, and I feel like you can make quite a gritty, cool animated series with Dishonored, with all the powers going on and stuff like that. I think that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. That is definitely a cool one because Dishonored has a really cool setting. It's like really unique. Like you look at Dishonored and you're like, it's from that universe. Do you know what I mean? It's like kind of that whale, they call it that whale punk vibe, because everything's fueled by whale oil. Yeah, that's an interesting one. There's other Bethesda ones which I feel like would be easy picks. Like I was going to say Elder Scrolls. Yeah, I was thinking Fable. I think that would be quite difficult to get to resonate with the core gamer though, because it wouldn't be about sad, gritty, tearing heads off. It would be
Fable's in that weird in between.
It would be British. It'd be cheeky. I think if it had really sharp writing, it could be really good. They could write a good drama, like in a fairy tale world that is a bit tongue in cheek, but it would never be like mature. It would never be for mature audiences. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would have to. You could make like baby's first Xbox animated series out of Fable.
You could do.
Like Viva Pinata.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing about Fable.
Which I never watched.
If it's not like kind of takes itself that seriously, which is exactly what Fable is, I feel like that sort of tone could it could really miss, like the jokes could really like not land, and it could end up being kind of cringy. And the monsters in Fable, let's be real, they look kind of goofy, right? And that translated over to like anime, like or even live action or something like that. I don't know. It has the potential to not really hit. The tone might be a bit weird. Crackdown could be kind of cool, because you can make that gritty and you can kind of make that into kind of cyberpunky vibes with superhuman thing. I know Crackdown hasn't been violent in the past, but there's no reason you can't adapt it a little bit. And gangs and stuff like that, and superpower soldiers, and it could be kind of cool.
Yeah, I like the idea of Crackdown, because it's quite quite a blank template, isn't it? A little bit like there's like a whole agency conspiracy, and there's a lot of mystery behind the agency and the agents as well. I feel like you could do something with that for sure. It might be a bit too similar to Gears, maybe, come to think of it. there's like an infection, and then there's like big burly men who kill stuff.
Yeah,
But I like
potentially.
the idea.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the sort of ones that spring to mind for me. What about you? You got any that spring to mind? Unless I stole yours.
No, I'm just thinking, Forza would be really good.
Really?
I want them to make
Like
a
a sort of
cars. I want them to make cars where they talk. The cars talk. Like
nah,
Disney
dude.
cars,
That's stupid.
and they drive around in Mexico, and they go from country to country. Mexican cars, and Spanish cars, and French cars, and they all talk.
He's not taking this seriously, chat. He's fucking mocking us. We're all
Okay,
coming
okay.
up with good ideas.
Solitaire.
This guy, man.
No, okay. Age of Empires, legit. But actually, Age of Empires. Any time period you want, political drama, and then at the end of it, it introduces a new faction into the game. Bad work. That would legit work.
Nah.
Why are you silent?
I don't know. Yeah, potentially. Potentially.
Oh my god, fuck you.
No, it does.
How about Age of
Why?
Mythology?
No. It does. It definitely has the potential where you could literally just, you could just write about fucking like wars and shit and factions and stuff like that. Like it definitely would work. Yeah. Age of Empires.
Yeah, they just have their own freedom to write a political drama really about any time period they wanted to.
Yeah.
But slap on the Age of Empires label.
Yeah.
This is God. You could go forever with this, couldn't you?
You really could.
I think Ori would be great.
Yeah, Ori would go into to that quite well. Yeah.
State of Decay would also be another great one.
We're done, mate. We're done with fucking zombie series. Get them away. Too many of them. I'm done with that. Yeah,
maybe.
Kind of sick of everything being turned into a zombie movie or series game.
Call of Duty. Why? I'm
we
really
don't have
surprised
that
that hasn't had a. Well, yeah, but that does surprise me. Actually, do you know, I haven't thought of that. Chat. Is that? Am I right? Am I right in that COD has never had like a TV series or
No,
like?
it hasn't.
Because surely, if Xbox gets Activision, you've got to bet, like in the same way that Sony are buying Bungie or have bought Bungie, partly because of the transmedia, potential there, making a TV show for Destiny. They've got to be looking at COD and being like, we can milk this. We can make a COD animated series, and it will be Ghost and Shepard, in a romance together.
Oh,
owning the libs or something. I don't know.
Oh god. Yeah, I mean you could do a lot with COD at the end of the day. Yeah, it doesn't scream out to me because it's just army warman, operation, stealth, silencers, go loud.
Yeah, that's right.
Go
loud, breach, bang, clear.
Yeah, it doesn't really appeal to me, but there's no denying that you can do a lot with that, whether it's live action or animated. And it's got some loved characters in there and stuff like that. That's not the route I would take, but I like Joaquin said, like Wasteland. That could be kind of cool. Yeah, you can make like a post-apocalyptic or yeah, I mean, yeah, we haven't even said anything like Fallout. Like Fallout would be sick.
Tim, Fallout's getting a TV show.
It's not getting an animated TV show, is it? That's what we're talking about.
Oh, we're just talking about animated.
No, we're not. I just wanted to save myself a little bit. I just.
All right.
That's what I wanted. Yeah. But it would go into animated as well, I feel. But yeah.
Well, hold on. What about Splosion Man?
All right. So what's next on our list?
Or Loco Cycle. Recore. Recore's a good one. No?
No, it's not.
Connect Adventures.
He's getting stupid. He's getting really stupid. He's just saying stuff. When you brought up just a browser tab with just games, a list of games. Fuck's sake. I know you so well.
Doom!
Yeah, I wanted to say Doom, but it was too obvious. But yeah, obviously Doom. Jesus Christ, yeah, you could make that one
Ah,
adrenaline fueled fucking
I think
glory fest. Yeah.
I think this is it though. That more than anything, I think what like us going through these things really demonstrates like the breadth of what Xbox have and are working on. Like they're not solely working on gritty fantasy games. Because like the next thing I was about to point to is Sea of Thieves. Okay,
Mm.
that's like PG pirate. Like Sea of Thieves anime. Well, I hope they wouldn't do a live action. That would be the dumbest thing in the world. But if they ever did like an anime, Sea of Thieves would be perfect. Do you not think? Like a family friendly show that kind of ties into, because they're already doing a lot of lore and extra material for Sea of Thieves. There's a lot of like there's following for that game, and like the lore in it is really strong, and they've got good writers at Rare. It's all quite fun and fantastical and piratey. I think that could totally work, just like a one-time
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves series.
Yeah, it did pop into my head. Yeah, something like that would absolutely work. You could definitely make it fun and adventurous and pretty cool. Yeah, you could have a lot of fun with that, and you can take it in a lot of different tones as well. You could definitely you could take it in a more goofy tone, and you can take it in a more sinister tone as well if you wanted to potentially make the adventure suddenly go spoopy. You're fighting a pirate
Yeah.
ghost. Yeah, definitely.
Oh no, you've all been beheaded, and your entrails are all over the ship.
Yeah,
They cover your kids' eyes.
and the skeletons are fucking just eating your entrails, and it's pouring out of them because they don't have stomachs.
Yeah. Oh no, that's funny. Laugh at the skeleton who can't eat the entrails. Joaquin said Call of Duty is being made with The Rock in it. I missed that.
I didn't
That's
know
clearly
that was a
something.
thing.
That's a beat I missed.
Yeah,
The
I had no
Rock,
idea
really?
that was a thing. What is
Do you know what that rings a bell actually now that I think about it? Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. All right, well, that was fun. Thanks for that. That was a fun conversation.
Yeah, good ideas in the chat as well.
With that, couldn't
That was fun.
Yeah, they were good ideas. All right, Tim, it's unavoidable. It's time. We're in the ABK realm. We're in the zone.
All right. Okay. What happened this week?
I messaged you about this.
Yeah, I know. We did. We talked about it. Basically, just a load of shit. Maybe I'll just toss my phone out the window.
when I saw this, the first thing I did was retweet it and say, I'm going to fucking shit myself.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I did.
And the first thing I said was, I was like, haven't Xbox already said this? They're just literally they're just like, we're committed. We are committed to getting you, the PlayStation gamers, and potential other gamers, what Xbox have already said they're going to do. We're committed to getting that done. For you.
Yeah, for you.
We're fighting for you.
It's not because I have stocks and shares in PlayStation and I own every piece of PlayStation memorabilia. I'm doing it for you.
Yeah. Ignore
Truly,
my PlayStation
this is an altruistic act.
And tattoo on my cheek.
Yeah. So if you don't know the story, there was an EU Commission member, right? An EU Commission representative, who tweeted the following: "The Commission is working to ensure that you will still be able to play Call of Duty on other consoles, brackets, including my PlayStation." What the fuck? Why would you say that?
Yeah. It's so stupid.
Why?
Including my Ninja blender. Including my toaster.
Get it. I don't get it. That's such a peculiar thing. Like, because this is the thing, right? I really do my best to be level-headed with all of these things, because for a while, there's been a lot of conspiracies around Xbox, and other than the fact that Xbox just hasn't performed all that well compared to its competitors, a lot of people feel that there's like an Xbox tax when it comes to reviews. The reviews just don't come in as high simply because it's Xbox and it isn't the popular brand since the Xbox One era. it gets mistreated by the media, who themselves prefer PlayStation and therefore write harsher articles and things like that. So it becomes a bit of a spiral. And I'm not sure I subscribe to those ideas. It's hard to really pinpoint them because I'm not sure really where you draw the line between preference and bias. People are allowed to have preferences, and the argument then becomes, well, professionals are meant to try and be neutral, but damn that, try as they may. I guess, sometimes that's just not really possible. And so I'm not really subscribed. But when things like this happen, it really lends credence to a lot of those ideas, especially as we've been saying throughout this whole ABK deal. It's obviously a big deal. It's going to have scrutiny, and it deserves to have scrutiny. But the fact that commissioners are coming out and being like, well, I've got a PlayStation, so we're going to make sure COD is going to stay on mine. I ain't paying for that shit. That shit Xbox. I've heard they've got a DRM. They've got a Kinect, haven't they? Bundled in that one.
Yeah, man.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's just immediately shows bias. Just being biased and just adapting the story. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's just so stupid that he wrote that. It's just so dumb.
I know. Every time I look at it, I'm like rubbing my eyes. I'm like, I can't believe it.
But it's just
I can't believe it.
And what makes it worse is like, that's awful. But what makes it worse is just like how they feel like it's like this shit's already been made public by literally the head of Xbox saying, "Yep, we're keeping it Mike Black."
Yeah.
Like in interviews, in writing, multiple times, and they're like, "We're fighting for you guys. We got you covered.
For the people.
Big bad Philly Spence is getting taken down. It's just like, what? I don't get it. You're just everything about this.
It's like virtue signaling. Yeah,
it's just so fucking stupid. It's just so stupid.
It is, but okay, so I'm going to give this a little bit of wider context because we can knock out a couple of stories here.
Yeah.
And essentially, so the EU Commission, much like the CMA over here in the UK, have launched a probe into an in-depth probe into the acquisition. They're in phase 2 now. Everybody in the world, it would seem, has spoken about this and lengthy podcasts, including these two twats right here.
Mm-hmm.
EU Commission have done the same. They've been like, right, we need to go have an in-depth probe. They've essentially done their phase 1. They call it different things, but they're now into the in-depth version. And that's why we had a tweet from this guy, from Ricardo Cardoso, which, by the way, is a good name, and you do get a couple of points for that. However, he made this tweet, and he has later clarified. He's later backpedaled. He's been like, oh, by the way, I'm not even on the team that does mergers and acquisitions. He isn't even on the team.
Right.
But I don't think you need to be an expert to know. He's still part of the EU Commission. He's just on a different board. But I don't think you need to be an expert to know that you probably shouldn't be expressing your preference this plainly and publicly. Because I think the main thing here is that really what he said is he's come into this with a very clear objective, or like, this is the tweet. This is how it reads. Maybe I should say, because I can't read Ricardo's mind. But the tweet reads like the objective is to make sure COD is multi-platform. That's the objective. Mm-hmm. Of all of these probes, we need to make sure COD is multi-platform. I thought these regulators and competitive regulators were meant to make sure that customers and consumers were getting the best deal.
Yeah.
Like, if you reworded this to, the Commission is working to ensure that all the customers across all platforms are being unaffected, being severely affected by, or severely unaffected by this deal, that are not on the receiving end of any negative implications of the deal. Great. That reads well.
Mm.
That's your job. Your job is to make sure that things stay competitive and stay fair. Because you can look across other markets in the world, and see where there are monopolies and stuff hasn't been regulated well. And as a result, people are getting fucked over. You can look at, particularly in the US, because it's really deregulated over there, like whether that's medicine, there's a whole recent thing around insulin over there, prices just being hiked because essentially all the pharmaceutical companies are just shaking hands and agreeing to raise prices together.
Yeah.
And it's not being regulated. Internet over there, I think, is the same thing. Again, chat, if you're, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember the service. Is it Comcast? It might be Comcast. Just like the main internet provider, nobody even touches them. And as a result, they can hike prices really high. They have data caps, use that much data, you got to pay for more because and that's a result of a market failure of not enough regulation. And that's what these guys should be looking at. They should be looking at, if we let this go untouched, is everybody going to suffer as a result? And it just, we've had these conversations before, but it just doesn't seem like that is even going to be the case. When you've got IPs like Spider-Man being locked up, like it isn't pulling people to a console so badly that they can't recover. We've spoken about indies earlier. It's the barrier to entry in the gaming industry is really low and really vibrant. A lot of indie games can get a lot of virality. And actually, I wonder why that is. I wonder if that's just because when people see it, they want to play it. And that doesn't quite work the same with other products.
Yeah.
Like you have to play it, But anyway, yeah, that's the point. That I think the focus here isn't on making sure the customers are protected. It's the focus on, we've got to make sure COD is multiplayer. Okay, like why?
Yeah, they've already focused on they've already made their mind up that COD is this massive pillar in gaming, cannot be replaced. It has
and
to
everybody
stay
will suffer.
Yeah, everybody will suffer.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. We've crunched the numbers. Everybody will suffer. Yeah. It's like they've already made their mind up with this, rather than just actually looking at it from the perspective of like, yeah, if it didn't remain multiplayer, like, would it kill PlayStation? Probably not. PlayStation have this, they have that. They, like you said, they have Spider-Man, like arguably a far bigger IP in terms of recognition and where the MCU is now and that character and everything like that. But like you said, they've already made their minds up for the gamers, and just being like, yeah, this just has to stay multiplayer. It's like, well, no. Like, why don't you actually do some digging and actually, see what the value is for all the users across the board.
That's right.
That's the end of that's what it is at the end of the day. Yeah.
And one of the core pillars of Xbox's and Microsoft's argument here is that they want to expand where COD is going, and that's like I have no horse in this race of whether they do or they don't. Personally, I think that they probably should keep it multi-platform for the time being, so that PlayStation has ample time to react to any foreclosure, as they call it, or exclusivity in the future. I do think eventually COD will go exclusive.
Eventually.
But that's one of the core arguments for Xbox. We want this to be on more platforms. Even if they took it away from PlayStation, they will probably put it on Switch. Or maybe they don't take it away and they put it on Switch, and then it goes on cloud. So either way, it goes to more platforms and gets access to more people. And that's why I am a bit confused about why these regulators are so hell bent on making sure this is multi-plat. And even if it is, we've seen the CMA make a big deal out of foreclosure, partial foreclosure, timed exclusivity, partial exclusivity. And we all know how hypocritical that is, because the last 6-7 CODs have had core modes stripped out of them, creator class slots. The recent one, XP, and it's a cross-platform game. Like that's really problematic. And it's so essentially, if these regulators now step in and draw the line of like, yeah, okay, we'll let you acquire them, but these are the concessions you have to make. You have to keep it multi-plat, and you're not allowed to make any partial foreclosure or any partial exclusivity. That would be crazy, because it's like you're essentially admitting that you haven't been doing your job. You haven't been monitoring the dominant
you've let it slide for this long
player in the industry. Yeah. Like you really haven't been looking at PlayStation doing this for the last 10 years.
Yeah, and Call of Duty's kind of been on a decline over the last few years as well. Like them doing it 5-6 years ago when Call of Duty was at its peak, they were still doing it back then when Call of Duty was far bigger than it was without regulation. And now it's smaller than it was there, and they're like, nah, we can't let this slide. Yeah, it just makes you think like, well, you let it slide before for a very long time. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, I agree.
But it's this sort of shit that makes me think like if this doesn't go through with the concessions that Xbox and Microsoft want, I could see some of these regulators going to court. Like if Microsoft want to, because some of the things that are being said are so crazy, so crazy. And again, that's not to say that like I've had to read through some of the like a lot of it is fair, but some of this stuff is really just ridiculous. Like it's such a conflict of interest, for the in terms of the tweet as well. So we'll see where it goes. He, like I said, he later backpedaled and said that he wasn't involved in that department and that his comments were personal. Okay, well, I think you really should understand that this isn't the place, because I wouldn't be surprised if in the next retort from Xbox, because they are like reply to decisions, that this comes up. I would not be surprised if Xbox directly quote this and be like, "You've got members on the commission who are publicly expressing favoritism."
Mm-hmm.
It's problematic, dude.
It's extremely problematic.
So it's a weird one to me. It's a weird one. So this is going through to like March or something, so we've still got a while before this stuff all processes. The UK, the EU, and the USA regulatory bodies are obviously going to be the big ones. I can't remember the acronym for the US one. But those are going to be the big ones. EU and the UK, I think, was always assumed they were going to be the hardest because a lot of the market is regulated here. So we'll see. If they do block it, I just hope they block it for good reasons. And I'm curious to know where the line is for Xbox on concessions. Would they be willing to permanently sign to permanently agree to keep COD multiplat, or would it be a 10-year rolling contract? So after 2033 you can negotiate another deal with Sony, and if you're not happy with the terms, you can say no and make it exclusive. I wonder where that line is for them.
Yeah, that would be the interesting thing.
Okay, let's move on to the next story then.
Let's do it.
So I've skipped down a couple of notes, Tim, because we kind of talked about all of the ABK stuff. We don't need to keep harping on that. Although it is a bit of a tie-in, because Skyrim appeared on PlayStation Plus for this month. It's set to appear, and this is funny. Obviously, the Star game, yeah. There's nobody else.
What's going on? I thought you ripped it off PlayStation.
Phones. Yeah, I thought Microsoft were a hyper competitive, hyper aggressive company that do this, engage in lots of exclusivity. Oh, this is weird. Yeah. So obviously the story here is that there is a direct contradiction between what Xbox is doing with their own properties versus what the CMA are saying they're doing. I'm not sure what the EU has said because I've read more on the CMA stuff. And like they, literally in their documents, the CMA said Microsoft's first-party titles are not available on any multi-game subscription services other than Game Pass, suggesting that they were withholding their first-party games from PS Plus. And that's kind of like part of the problem as well, I think, because we've been speaking about this a long time, and I feel like we have a better grip on Phil Spencer's strategy here. Like one of the words he used that really threw people off when the Bethesda roundtable happened after the acquisition is he said that legacy titles we won't touch.
Yeah,
that means Elder Scrolls Online will probably still cycle on and off of PS Plus. Fallout 76 will probably do the same. That Quake remaster, that wasn't exclusive. I wouldn't be surprised if that appeared on PS Plus because they're considered legacy. Skyrim is considered legacy. So it's direct contradictions. If they're doing this in-depth probe this time round, hopefully they see that this is this is in direct contradiction with what they're saying. I mean, any thoughts on the appearance of Skyrim on PS Plus at all?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it just solidifies everything, or most things. I don't know, but you know that what Philly says tends to be what happens. You know he tends to be quite honest with this sort of stuff, and I think this just proves it. Like exactly. You know, he isn't going back on his word or anything like that. And you can see here a legacy title, yeah, appearing in another subscription service other than Games Pass. Whether or not they're doing this just for like just because of the deal, I don't know. They're just like, yeah, just throw it in there, you know. That'll get some good favor, and then we can quote it back as well. That'll be sick, yeah. So you don't know if it's being done maliciously in that way, but regardless, you know what he said has come to happen. So
Yeah.
you know, and it just backs up his further claims of everything he said about Call of Duty and the ABK deal and everything like that are probably most likely to happen as well. He does plan on keeping it multi-platform for a set period of time and potentially for good, you know, assuming you know the offer is there, because it makes sense to keep it multi-plat. God, you know, it
It
really
does.
does. It just makes sense from an earning money perspective. It makes sense to keep it multi-plat. So, you know, just make it the home to play it. You know, you can play it better on Xbox, but it's still available everywhere else. Similar to how PlayStation were doing it for God knows how long. So yeah, we've been over all this, but yeah, it just solidifies everything that Philly said in it. So
Yeah, it's not the only example of that. You know, it's like just I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? The Fallout 4 Next Gen Edition got announced or something, and that's coming to PlayStation as well. It's like a free upgrade on your console, and we fully well know that if the shoe was on the other foot, PlayStation would not be giving the next gen upgrade to Xbox.
no. It'd be on PlayStation.
We fully
only,
well know that,
and they'd probably charge their PlayStation users as well to get the upgrade.
That's
Boom.
very true. Yeah, and then you have to buy PS Plus to access the cloud storage. I can't believe you have to pay for cloud storage on that system. That is so stupid. But that's fine.
For the players, man.
I won't lose sleep over it. I promise.
You already have, but those bags under your eyes.
Yeah, yeah, that's Vampire Survivors though. It's different. What was the other thing? Yes, because it reminds me of that. You know, when we did a bit of a breakdown of the CMA. You know, their closing statements on the phase 1 before they moved to phase 2, and they spoke about a load of game. They were like, "Oh, Xbox has a history of saying they won't make things exclusive, but then they do." You know, we spoke about this, and they were like, "They're going to make Hellblade 2 exclusive. They're going to make Avowed and Starfield and Redfall exclusive," and then they started bringing out project titles like Project Cobalt. Do you remember this when they started pointing to actual code names? It's like they're probably going to make them exclusive, like massive speculation.
Yeah, quite the reach.
And then like a little side, and then a little foot. They didn't mention any of these legacy games that have been kept on PlayStation that haven't been yanked off the store that are still going on to these subscription services. And then at the very bottom, and the future ones like Minecraft Legends, you know, very little footnote about Minecraft Legends, you know, keeping that multi-plat, and at the bottom, very footnote at the bottom, and Minecraft, you know, that's there's no plans for exclusivity there. Yeah. As if that isn't like one of the biggest IPs in the world. Yeah.
In brackets, if you've heard of it, Minecraft, I don't know, it's like this weird, like graphics are terrible, but like basically, they're keeping that like that. Well, not really a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like, are we serious? Like a code name is being given the same weight as Minecraft? Like that's a huge. That's like one of their overarching points that they own Minecraft and they've chosen to keep it multi-plat because it makes more sense for them. And you know, to a degree, it falls into that legacy category. You know, it's been around since before the acquisition. For a while, you know, there's very few exceptions to that rule, like Hellblade. You know, the first one came out multi-plat, and the second one is going to be exclusive. But other than those few exceptions, they generally are quite consistent. So,
so far, at least, who knows what will happen with Fallout 5 and stuff like that? And
no, that's right.
And Wolfenstein 3 and
Elder Scrolls,
Doom, all that. So, but so far, you can make this trend that everything is still multi-plat. But yeah, in the future that might change. But then you can't just insinuate like that, like they are doing with like the codename projects and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. The weight is definitely more in Xbox's favor from established IPs and games being multi-plat rather than potential future games that don't even have fucking names yet. So it's just like you can't. It's ridiculous to lean over to that side more than the other.
Yeah, and like you said, it's none of these things are the same weight as COD. That's the whole, like, Hellblade 2 going exclusive, even something as big as Elder Scrolls or Fallout going exclusive in the next installment. There's a reason nobody's talking about that. It's because COD is the moneymaker, which is why we get it and why Xbox are repeatedly on the record saying we're going to keep it multi-plat for the foreseeable future.
The money.
So the money, yeah. Okay, let's get off this.
Yeah.
All right, so the next bit of news is around a possible Redfall beta, Tim. Somebody found a Bethesda UELA, which is like a license agreement on Steam, and people are speculating it could be that a Redfall beta may be happening. Arcane have never done a beta before, but they've never been a co-op game before either. What are your thoughts on a possible Redfall beta? Maybe this is like, shadow drop at the Game Awards, play it next week on Xbox with your subscription for free. It'll be open for a week. Come in, give it a go, give us some feedback. Maybe you slap it on the dashboard and actually get people understanding what the game is and generate some excitement for it. What do you think? Is this good or bad?
Well, I think that's exactly what I was about to say at the end of your sentence there is I think it's extremely positive. I think it's a great way to get people to understand exactly what this game is and something to look forward to. It also gives people a little taste of like this loot system and all that kind of stuff, all these things that are still shrouded in quite a lot of mist. And it gives people to the option to explore an Arcane game and play an Arcane game when they might have not done that in the past. And Arcane games are great, and they tend to not get enough credit, at least from user numbers perspective and sales and stuff like that. So I just think it's a win-win to release a decently polished beta. Obviously the issue here is if the beta's a little bit jank, it's a little bit whatever, people that are already on the fence about this game and didn't really know what it is are immediately going to shove this in a fucking lockbox and throw it to the bottom of the ocean and never buy it. So it's got to be quite a polished beta, I feel, and it's got to tell a decent gameplay slice that Arcane want to show their users. But I think it's a good idea. So yeah.
Yeah, because there is something to be said about betas, isn't there? Like, I think one of the downsides is that it can deflate hype a little bit. Not just necessarily from the point of view that there might be technical difficulties because it's a beta, but I think it doesn't necessarily derail the hype train, but it slows the hype train down because people get a bit of a taste for it. There isn't that day one flood. People get a bit of a taste for it and they're like, yeah, that was really good. I'm excited to play more. But there's not like kind of that 1 to 2 month build up of hype and then a big explosion of it on day one. So there is something to be said about that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think this could be a good way to generate more interest. Get some gameplay clips. Make it non-NDA. People can share clips about it and see gameplay for this maybe one level that they put out, or whatever it is that they do, and yeah, because this is my thing about like Redfall. Like, I really hope that because sorry, audio users punched my microphone there. That the Xbox community really gets behind this because, as we always say, Arcane make these really, really critically successful games, but they never seem to commercially do well. And now that Arcane are under Xbox, beta, get it free with your Game Pass subscription coming in March, day one with your Game Pass subscription. I think we could see, like, this is the sort of thing that appeals to an Xbox user. Xbox is known as the shooter box for now. And I feel like to the Xbox user, this is more appealing. It's got like the co-op there, We know Xbox is the more sociable platform. I really feel like this could be something the community gets behind, and a beta might sort of facilitate that. And I like you said, I really hope it doesn't have the opposite effect and have some like negative previews. That would really upset me.
Yeah, for sure. But as Joaquin said in the chat, Arcane don't tend to release things jank. Obviously,
No.
I don't think Arcane have really had experience doing betas in the past, so it might be uncharted territory for them in this sort of instance. But they tend to polish these things out quite well, so I think they'll deliver a pretty crisp beta experience to the users. You'd like to hope. Yeah, it's just important to get it right, because this game is kind of on a cliff's edge already with its marketing and how people are seeing it, and this could really be the turnaround for it to sell pretty well. And like you said, Xbox need to really see over this and make sure it is a good experience, this beta, and really publicize it. Put it on the dashboard right when people log in. You know, try out Redfall, Arcane's next big co-op shooter. You know, really sell this to people and really
Vampire game.
really
Open
get
world.
them to download it and really give it a go. And yeah, I think that's very important. Because there's no doubt in my mind this game will be good. It's not going to be a bad game. There's no doubt in my mind this game will be good. Might not be great, fantastic, but it will be good. It's just Arcane. They don't deliver bad games, but it's just selling it. It's just getting it to the users in the right way. So
yeah, I'm totally with you. Hopefully we hear more about that, and you know, I have seen actually quite a bit more positive conversation going on since that last trailer that we discussed a couple of episodes ago. You can go back and watch it if you want, if you're an audio listener or video listener. We had video watcher, sorry, we got timestamp up for it. I think it was 2 episodes ago now. We had it on screen and walked through it a little bit play by play. Yeah, I think that for people who have seen that trailer, I think that's hit a tone with a lot of people. I think that really resonated. But for most people, you know, they're still seeing that E3 trailer in their head, which I liked. But for a lot of people, they didn't like the quippiness. They didn't like that it was a lot of tongue in cheek to it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We will.
All right. So this topic is sort of the title of the video here, and I thought this was really, really interesting. And I haven't really seen many people talk about this throughout the week. Take-Two Interactive CEO Strauss Zelnick shares Sony's opinion on Game Pass style day and date releases. So, you know, day one releases into Game Pass. He says, "I don't think that's ever made sense, and I still don't think it makes sense." And I thought this was interesting for a number of reasons, because there's a lot of different perspectives to come at this, isn't there? You know, for consumers, does it make sense? From a business point of view, does it make sense? How about adoption? Does that make sense? So, like, what do you think? Like, if you're thinking about this from your point of view versus, you know, Philly's point of view, or maybe even third parties, you know, what are your thoughts on kind of the day and date model that Game Pass has? You know, is there a reason Sony isn't doing this? You know, is this comparable to like Netflix? Like Netflix drop their stuff in straight away, but they also don't have like a storefront. Prime do though. Amazon Prime, you like buy stuff, don't you? You buy stuff, the new stuff, and then it goes into the Prime subscription.
Yeah.
What do you think? A lot to digest.
I mean, obviously, I love it. As a user of Games Pass and a subscriber, I think it's fucking fantastic, and I think it's the main, for me, it's literally the main selling point, that I know that these games are dropping day one. I don't need to fork out a lump sum or anything like that. And you know, and it's not even like first party only. You know, some games third party have dropped into Games Pass, like Back 4 Blood and stuff like that. You know, Plague Tale, yeah, and stuff like that. You know, so it's a nice surprise when this happens, and it's been such a long time since I've had to fork out a £60 to £70 price tag on a game, and I know that all of these games I'm looking forward to are coming straight to day one. And for me, it would be a pretty big turn off if Xbox were to just take this away. I genuinely think it's one of the main features of Games Pass. In terms of talking about it from like a developer standpoint and like putting things in day one and like how profitable it is, all that sort of stuff for them and us and Xbox, I really have no idea. I don't really know when it comes into what comes into the costs and stuff like that of all that. But speaking from my perspective, it's one of the best features of Games Pass, and I think it's what is actually holding PlayStation Plus behind Games Pass. So
yeah, it absolutely is. And actually, I'll just on kind of a side note, I don't think Xbox is doing a good job of advertising that this is like a prominent feature of the service. We kind of colloquially call it day and date.
yeah,
Does that make sense to a lot of people who aren't savvy with games? Like, I don't know. I think they need to be more upfront about how, because it's a big deal. Like you said, it's really a big deal.
Yeah.
The fact that Pentiment's, like, for example, dropping straight into the service just on Tuesday,
it's exciting.
which, by the way, yeah, it is exciting. And it's like, they've now got these things like you can install it in advance, just like for other games. You can pre-install them and it will just unlock when it's ready. That's great. And you just know you have that. And there's other things like even on the Game Pass app, that like months in advance, games will be confirmed that they're coming day one. Like I've been able to pre-install Stalker for ages. I think maybe it's been taken off now because it's been delayed indefinitely because of the war. But just things like that, and that's great. And I just don't feel like they're doing a good job of advertising that. What I was going to say is Pentiment. Reviews haven't dropped for that yet, which kind of surprises me. So I assume we'll get that either tomorrow or Tuesday.
When's it out?
It's out Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
So,
yeah,
we'll
you like to think Obsidian would have let people obviously review this a couple days early, or maybe it's just the case that people haven't got round to reviewing it. Like they have had early copies, but they're just still playing it, or they're still deciding on their scores. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Well, yeah, it'd be interesting to know when the embargo lifts for that. But yeah, I do feel that it is clearly, from a consumer point of view, a good thing. There's really no denying that. You don't lose anything from things coming day one, other than the fact that maybe that means they leave earlier. First party games go in and stay in, and I don't know if that will happen forever, because eventually they're going to have such a big first party catalog that by default the service has like 300 games, and that's before adding all of the third party and the indie stuff that they put in. So I don't know how they're going to do that over time, but for now, stuff dropping in day one is just fantastic value. And I suppose like this is the point, really. Strauss Zelnick isn't a platform holder. He doesn't have a console to look after. He does oversee very big games like GTA over at Take-Two there. And if there is an argument to be made against day-and-date games, it's for these billion-dollar games.
Yeah.
Billion-dollar, already established popularity, already established critical acclaim. Like that, we have it on good data that this is going to get a lot of sales.
Yeah.
So establishing
across all platforms, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, all that. Yeah.
So dropping it day one into a subscription service just isn't profitable. However, if you are a platform holder, it's obviously a very enticing feature. You'd like to have thought that this feature is drawing people into the ecosystem, whether that's with a cheap Series S or a more expensive Series X. People know that they can get Game Pass, and all of this, the lineup of the Xbox stuff that's winding up over the end of this year and going forward, really, is going to come in day one. So I'd be interested to see a bigger marketing push for this. But I suppose that's the crux of it. That there are, of course, going to be some some games, some angles that don't fit well into the day and date model.
Yeah, but then I think I think there's more of an argument for a lot of developers that I feel like it's nothing but beneficial. Like I feel like the one I'm quite excited for, and it was a very pleasant surprise for me. And they've come out and said it's been a pleasure working with Xbox, and I'm sure they are very excited to get this on Games Pass. Is Squanch Games High on Life? Like that's coming out this year into Games Pass, isn't it? That's third party. I'm sure they're absolutely chuffed when they were approached and were just like, we can put this on Games Pass. Working with Xbox and doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just I feel like it's only beneficial for these people, and they would jump at the opportunity to have a day and date. Yeah, day and date. Yeah,
day and date. Yeah, that's right.
Game just dropping straight into Games Pass for them. And whether or not they even after that they even approached like PlayStation and were just like, can we get this into your PlayStation Plus as well? We were throwing it into Games Pass, and PlayStation were like, nah, 70 quid, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Who knows? But yeah, it's quite interesting. And yeah, I think it just comes down to like you said, just the insane blockbuster titles that are just gonna sell fucking millions of copies. Like GTA is gonna just the next GTA is just gonna fly off the shelves like nobody's business for 70 quid a pop. So yeah, it just doesn't make sense for them to put it in. But I feel like the other majority, 70% of developers or whatever that aren't this massive, insanely well-established AAA billion-dollar budget sort of thing, it's only beneficial. So
yeah, and I think we're keen. Yeah, without a doubt. And this is like we're keen to something interesting in the chat here. Says that San Andreas. So I'm assuming this is the remaster, yeah, the San Andreas remaster or whatever it was. That dropped day one into Game Pass as well. Yeah, I remember that actually. That wasn't the what was it all a disaster? I can't remember. Were they all disasters? all of the GTA remakes? I can't remember.
I think so. Remasters. Yeah. I don't think they landed that well. Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew this was internally not ready. But shareholders needed it pushed out right now because they take 60 years between their mainline titles. And they're like, yeah, sure. Yeah, Day and Day sounds like a great idea. Just so they could secure a bit of money from Xbox. And that's the thing as well. Like, there's like a negotiation element here. Like, we don't know, as far as I understand it, essentially Xbox will pay to get stuff in day one. But then there are also performance metrics like, oh, if your game hits this much engagement in the first month, you'll get an extra 15%.
I'm sure.
And these things make sense. I suppose the only area here, which is like the blind spot of everything we've spoken about so far, is Xbox's own multi-billion dollar blockbuster games, of which there are plenty coming up. Starfield being, the headlining one, at least that we know of. The one after that will probably be Hellblade. That's got to be a very expensive game with the amount of mocap and technology that they use.
The next Elder Scrolls will be there as well.
Thanks, Elder Scrolls. Halo was day one, the campaign, right? That we know that was an expensive game. All of these things, and that's the blind spot. So I guess for them, it does make me wonder if they're using this, like they know they're going to make like some losses, or at least they're not going to make as much profit as they could have done for these big titles, just to really drive adoption rates and maybe to really push the new IP that are coming through. So when you've got things like Avowed coming in as well, and you've got things like Contraband and the resurrection of Perfect Dark that maybe people don't know about, it is in the public conscious so much. Maybe while that's happening, gets people in the door, and then once people are in the door, they could consider maybe not doing that then, or making a tiered service. Obviously I wouldn't want that, but I've it is in direct contradiction to what we've been saying about Strauss-Zelnick here, that these massive games don't make sense to go into Game Pass day one. So why is it an exception for Xbox?
Yeah, it's just an exception for now, I think. Yeah, I think it just comes down to the timing of everything, and once that catalog grows. But for now, it makes sense. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. And you know, I think that's what makes kind of these next few years very exciting for a lot of people, even though it has been a bit of a long wait. But as we get into this kind of firing on all cylinders with Xbox's first party, we know all of this stuff is going to be straight into your subscription on day one. And that's great. You know, you don't have to have the bittersweet taste in your mouth after dropping a lot of money for now anyway. So yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. It remains to be seen what will become the dominant strategy, because obviously with Sony at the moment, their strategy is double dipping. Essentially, it's get as much money as we can on day one with the full price purchases, and then introduce it into the service 6 months to a year later, and see who we can get on the victory lap. Essentially, you know, coming into the subscription to play it a bit later at a reduced price. All right. We have only 2 stories left. If you are still with us, everyone, after that section, I wanted to just remind you, please, to hit the like button. If you're new here, maybe consider subscribing. You can find us on Twitter, which is in the description. You can also find us, you know, if you're watching us, you can find us in Spotify on all your favorite podcast platforms. If you're listening to us on Spotify or another podcast platform, you can find us on YouTube, where we're on video and you can see our ugly mugs.
Yeah.
Drinking and blowing our nose and all sorts of fun stuff like that. All right. There's been a bit of drama this week, Tim, and it's really unfortunate because it's around id Software, which, you know, and until now in my head were like a golden studio. So the Doom composer Mick Gordon has accused the ID head, Marty Stratton, of lying, underpayment, and contract breaching. And there's a bit of a weird timeline here, because essentially Marty Stratton, the head, the studio director of id Software, did a big Reddit Q&A like a couple of years back, because people had noticed that some of the music mixing in Doom Eternal wasn't that good. And given the 2016 game, you know, the original reboot that Mick Gordon did, there was like quite a big contrast there. And Marty spoke about it, and he essentially said, you know, that Mick Gordon, you know, the composer, had done not some good work and was difficult to work with, and this, that, and the other. And so a couple of years have passed in silence, and just out of nowhere, really, Mick Gordon's put up like this massive blog post detailing what's happened to him and how things went. And, you know, the headline, the title here, you know, for the clickbait, is essentially that id Software later offered him a 6-figure sum to never speak about everything that happened. And if that's not a damning indictment, you know, I don't know what is. So just to skim over the top of some of the injustice here, by the looks of it, is that he hasn't been paid for over half of Doom Eternal's music. In his opinion, the entire Doom Eternal OST was a mess. He didn't approve the release. It was released without, you know, he was working remotely and was essentially sending music over, and then they were doing whatever they wanted to it and then releasing it. And then, you know, feels that he was really lied about, you know, and it's cost him work in the industry, and it's been a real attack on his character. Even though he tried time and time again to kind of reconcile with Marty about this, there was a torrent of kind of abuse, harassment, and threats, which is kind of crazy. So this is really a bad look for the studio. I wonder if we'll get any official clarification, but man, it's not. I like the Doom OST was never my favorite, but I know people love it for what it is. I can't deny the guy's talented, and goddamn, Xbox having studios with controversy under them. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not exactly ideal, is it? I mean, Xbox have studios with controversy under them, but not necessarily. The controversies didn't really start when they were under Xbox, right? We just tend to like,
That's
or
true.
do they? We just tend
Take
to like, yeah,
problem studios.
yeah, exactly. We just tend to sort of like buy them out of the bargain bin, so to speak, and maybe sort them out. So it's just like they're not necessarily. I mean, obviously this one is. It's been. Uh, well, obviously, when did Doom Eternal come out? Was this
Center was 2020, I
Yeah,
think.
so obviously, this all happened long before they were even under the Xbox umbrella officially, right? Um,
Yeah,
all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, regardless, it sounds dreadful, man. And I mean, the guy is clearly, what's his name? Mick something?
Mick Gordon.
Mick Gordon. He's clearly, as Joaquin put in the chat as well. You'd like to think the guy is being honest and obviously telling the truth, considering how long it's taken him to forge this document. He's probably had so much legal advice on it as well over the months of how it should
Yeah,
be written and all that. He's really taken his time with it. To then just fully release a legit um piece of truth and what happened to him. But yeah, obviously it's not a good it's not a good look, and Xbox do tend to have a lot of studios with controversy under them, and looking to acquire more with Blizzard too. So that's fantastic.
yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah.
there's the thing about Undead Labs not that long ago. Do you remember that? There's like apparently it's
Mhm.
like all better now, but between the years of like 2017 and 2020, Undead Labs had a lot of allegations of abuse as well.
Oh really?
Um, yeah, yeah.
Oh shit.
I feel like there is someone else. There is another studio that I'm missing, but yeah, I mean, like, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to reduce this and be like, oh man, this really sucks for my favorite console brand. Obviously, this is like an impassioned thing from Mick Gordon. He felt, he's putting himself under legal threat to do this, but ultimately, truth needs to be exposed with these things.
Hmm.
And there have been, since this has been put out, there have been like a couple of like innuendos really from other studio, like other industry members, other developers and stuff, saying that Marty has been hard to work with.
Okay.
The studio director of Doom, which is really surprising because you're like usually you feel like these sorts of things trickle down into the quality of the game, but I guess
Yeah.
that's not always true. We know studios go through years of like crunch culture and you know like abuse and pressure and yet that somehow the games can still come out really well, and that seems to be the case of what's happening here. And Mick made a point of saying that the rest of the studio, like every time he's talking about them, it was just Marty because he was the point of contact for the studio.
Hmm.
The rest of the team were really impassioned, really good at what they did. So this, because this is the sort of thing where I feel like Xbox get involved and they say, like, sorry, we need to restructure you. Like, I don't think they look at firing him, but I think they look at swapping out the studio director now.
Yeah. I mean, I would go as yeah, I would definitely go as far as saying that, especially when so is he talking about like this only happening from his perspective, or did he notice like abuse, harassment, and all this sort of stuff, and just like happening to
No, just to
other
him.
people around it? Okay, just to him. Okay, that's fair enough. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just not a good look, right? And you'd like to think, from what I just said, if it's happening to him, and people have also come out and, like you said, said that he is quite tough to work with. You'd like to think it's probably happened to other people as well. Him being tough to work with, him being a bit of a dick, and all this sort of stuff. Um, so yeah, you got to do something about it. It's not the sort of thing you can just sweep under the rug. Especially with such a big studio for Xbox, that really pump out fantastic games for them. You have to do something about it. Yeah.
It's a shame. I hope if there is any sort of restructure here or any further difficulties, it doesn't have an impact on on their output. Obviously the welfare of these people is very, very important as well. But again, like Xbox can't afford these studios to suddenly stop putting out hits. Like if Redfall comes out and it isn't at least a minor hit, and then do let's say Quake remake, whatever it is that they're doing next, come out and that isn't a hit again, like people, and then obviously Starfield, that, like if those games come out and they aren't hits, people are going to be looking at them and saying the same thing that they did with like Rare and whoever else that they've acquired. Oh, since Xbox has acquired them, the quality's dropped, even if it's like totally coincidental or really nothing to do with the acquisition. That would be pretty dreadful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because a lot of these things stem and start very early, way before, like I said, these guys were even under the Xbox umbrella. The infection is spread at that point and stuff like that. So like you said, it can be quite harsh to say, since Xbox acquired them, they've been pumping out worse and all this controversy's come out. It's like, well, that was deeply buried prior to the fucking to the actual acquisition. It's just unfortunate timing. But yeah,
because particularly people have said that about since Redfall being announced. I think that narrative has actually kind of been buried now, but like people did say like, oh, Xbox are forcing them to make a shitty multiplayer Left 4 Dead clone, even though it's obviously none of those things. But like a lot of people get the impression that it was Xbox's fault. It's been in development before that, but that's fine. Bleeding Edge is another example. Oh, now that they've been acquired, Xbox are forcing them to, even though it's been in development for 5 years, Xbox are forcing the Hellblade studio to make a MOBA game. It's like, it's just not. It's not the impression that Xbox needs right now.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so before we move on to the last story, then I can see Joaquin has put something interesting in the chat. On a scale from Prey to Dishonored 1, how big of a hit does Redfall need to be? I think we touched on this before, didn't we? I think their game needs to be 80s. I would be really disappointed if it doesn't hit 80s.
Which I think Prey settled around like mid 80s, didn't it? Prey had pretty good reviews, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Just didn't sell fantastically well.
I think it did.
And again, I think Dishonored again was like mid 80s or something like that. I feel like they were both around the same sort of.
Dishonored was 90.
Dishonored was 90, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I expect this game to be as big a hit as these, as like Dishonored 1 and Prey and all that sort of stuff. But
Deathloop.
Not necessarily, Deathloop, but not necessarily overtake it. I think I would agree with Deck, what we said in a previous episode as well. I'd just like this to be hitting like a minimum of around an 80. If it can get higher and match these sort of games, then great. I just don't want this game settling into the mid 70s or something like that. That would be pretty disappointing.
I would say co-op games get a co-op tax for the most part, because there is a variety of experience that comes with it. Some reviewers will just play a co-op, like a game intended for co-op, purely solo, and review it like that. Some people will play it just co-op. Some people will do a bit of both. And Arcane are on record saying you can solo this. This is a single-player Arcane game with the option for co-op, and if that's designed in such a way that takes away from the cohesion of the game, well, that's a legitimate problem. But it depends how it comes together for some people. It might be, people might go into this. This is my worry, that people go into this like, this is a single-player Arcane game, and then they go into it with 3 other friends. It's like, well, obviously it's not going to click. It's not going to tick those boxes now, is it?
No.
Or vice versa. People might go into it like, this is a co-op Left 4 Dead loot game, and then find that it's not that, because it's actually still an immersive sim in Arcane fashion that you can play with a lot of people, but it modifies the experience. And that's kind of my point, is that when you add layers of co-op, it creates a wider variety of experiences, and that means some people will come out of it and being like, I couldn't hear the dialogue because my friends were speaking. They were chomping on Pringles. Yeah, and it's like, okay,
we can't control that. Yeah, that's just it. Yeah, so what do they call that variable? The something
extraneous
variable. Yeah.
extraneous variable. Or confounding. Yeah. So that's what I think. Yeah, I'm really. I'm reasonably nervous about Redfall. Like I said, I think it's going to be good. I want it to be critically successful because I think otherwise we're going to see people start making those comments about Xbox's acquisitions again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because other than Pentiment, Redfall is going to be one of the first few new games that an acquired studio has put out, and if it doesn't perform at least in the same range as well as their previous games, the Prey, Dishonored, Deathloop, then people are going to start making those comments, and it'll stress me out.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, almost there. All right, let's move on to our final story then. Tim, if you wouldn't mind sharing the picture I've got at the very bottom of the notes on the screen just for the final story, because it's about the dashboard.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, so what we've got here is just a very slight modification of what we've spoken about before with the previous dashboards. Essentially, they moved everything down a little bit, which is like kind of exactly what we said needed to happen. It's not enough, I don't think. I think they need to rethink what they're doing here with the whole having 2 rows. But it's moving in a better direction. I like, because when I look at this, I really feel like the best way to go about it would be to have like minimizing or maximizing icons, like make the icons smaller.
Yeah.
And then when we go over them, it can expand. Do you know what I mean? And that way we can see these wonderful backgrounds and dynamic backgrounds that you're pumping out for us, and the achievement art that we can make. And it doesn't have to feel so cluttered. That's the thing; it feels cluttered.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's nice they moved everything down and gave the background a little bit more space, so you can see these cool new dynamic backgrounds they're starting to do. That's great. But I do agree. Like, I think my main issue is in terms of just tile size. I feel like that should be customizable to the user, and maybe even just being able to create like collapsible folders for the homepage as well. You know, like, sure, it's like an extra click, but like, why can't I just like make that entire first row completely collapsible?
Recent games.
Yeah, into like one square, and then I click that square, and then it comes out lengthways like it is now. But until I click on that square, I've got a nice dashboard, whatever. I can see my pretty stuff. And then I just I expand the folder. That would also be nice. But then that would also create the it's too empty feeling as well, which is where I would like to have an activity feed. The issue isn't that I just want to see my background and I don't want any icons. That's not the issue. I want more stuff going on than just an Overwatch 2 icon being obnoxiously big and taking up 10% of my screen.
Yeah.
Like, I just want more going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think they would do well to consider like a taskbar. Like, that's really what I'm thinking. Like how you have the taskbar at the bottom of like a Windows PC or on Mac. You know, there are small icons there, and then you hover over it, and it pops out. That's how it works to me. In a perfect world, I'd like this to be fully customizable. Like you said, put stuff into folders. We already have groups. Like, the feature, and concept is already there. So Xbox users are familiar with what groups are. But I don't know if we will ever get full customization. Otherwise, we would have had it already. I feel, because this dashboard has been around since 2013, essentially. But I don't feel like we need so much of the screen to have this stuff. But it's a step in the right direction. They're clearly taking in feedback, and I think this was due to roll out in early 23. So if they're going to keep moving in this direction, hopefully we will hit one that everybody can look at and they can go, yes, that's right. But it feels like they're really desperate to hang on to this design and mold it a bit more. So I think they just need to rethink this a little bit, and then we'll be hunky dory. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it for the show. We managed to make 2 hours and 10 minutes out of that. I don't really know how, to be honest, but we did.
We talked a lot about TV series.
We did, and it was worth every second.
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
I will see. But ladies and gents, thanks for stopping by today. We are going to get out of here. If you want to listen to us yap on every week, you'll find us at 12:30 BST every week on a Sunday. And then I shortly upload to podcast services afterwards. Come by, say hi on Twitter, say hi in the comments, and maybe we'll see you next week. Like I said, go easy on me. I've maybe got a baby coming in the next 2 weeks, so we'll try and keep the schedule. But I'll update you all on Twitter if need be. Also, Tim, I got a little notification earlier that I could make posts on the channel, like I can post on our YouTube channel now. I don't know why I got that feature all of a sudden, because I thought you needed like 1,000 subscribers or something.
Oh, that's cool.
But we can like post onto the actual YouTube thing. Like how in your feed sometimes someone will say something.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's just like an advertisement,
Yeah.
Get
so
Manscaped.
It's like a sort of like a homepage, but for your YouTube channel, like a little Facebook page that people can like comment stuff and you can talk and do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, there you go. If you guys want any questions, if you guys have any questions that we didn't get around to answering on this one, or you want us to talk about in the next episode, feel free to. Oh wait, can people post there? Can people like comment on there, or is it only us being able to post there?
I think they can reply to us, but I don't think they can post.
Oh, okay. I was about to say you can like sort of get your questions in, but ignore me.
Yeah, that's right. You've been jingling this whole time, right?
No. I completely forgot.
Okay. Well, we're done here for today. So I hope you enjoyed this awkward outro in silence, and we will catch you on the flippity dippity.
Goodbye. I'm going to play one section of the jingle.
That's good. It's
Goodbye.
the best section.
We're jingling. See you later.